I am in love with this book, The Little Ghost Who Was a Quilt. Now, if you're a quilter, you may be aware of this book. If not, there's a link below. You can go find it on Amazon, but it is an adorable story about the struggles of the ghost who was a little bit different because instead of being a sheet, he was a quilt. Obviously, this speaks to the quilters in all of us, right? And I decided that this year I wanted to give this to my great nephew. He is 2.5. He's going to absolutely love it. And then came my dilemma. What kind of quilt do I make to go with this book? Now, I've seen lots of people online. They have basically taken the same pattern and done the blues and the whites and the grays. The artist in me loves that, right? Let's coordinate with the book. But then the great aunt in me wants to be the hero and wants him to absolutely love the quilt that I make him. So this is what I ended up making. Paw Patrol. Yep, I decided that a 2.5-year-old is not going to even realize that, this is matching and it's on purpose. He's just going to go bananas over his favorite characters on a quilt. I will be telling you a little bit more about using fabric like this. For example, spoiler alert, you cannot sell things in general with fabric that has TV characters or movie characters. You're going to see it. I know you're going to see it. You're going to see it at craft fairs. You're going to see it online, but it is not legal and it is not worth it. This is what I decided to do because I want to be the hero. Now, this is just a super simple quilt. It's a basic patchwork. If you have never quilted before, this is going to be super easy and perfect for you. And if you sign up for my newsletter, there's a link below this video, then you can get this pattern for free. And it walks through all the steps of how to do it. If you're already on my newsletter, just sign up again. It's not going to make you get 2 copies of newsletters. It's just going to send you this free pattern. So let me show you how to make this baby or toddler size patchwork quilt. And you can decide if you are going to do something that matches the book, or if you want to do something a little bit different that is really going to speak to the heart of whoever you're going to give the book. I'm going to sew sets of blocks together with a 1/4 inch seam, and then we will put these sets together to make the rows for our patchwork quilt. And I'm going to do what is called daisy chaining, which means we're not going to cut the thread. We're just going to get the next one ready, leave a few stitches in between so that we can use a cutter, which I'll show you in a minute, and then just go right on to the next one. And while my character fabric does have some directionality to it, I'm not going to worry about what direction I'm sewing it in for this quilt because it's for a 2.5-year-old. It's going to go every which way, and he is not going to care or even notice if everything is going the same direction from one side of the quilt. Now, I've talked about leader fabrics a lot, which is when you use just a little scrap of fabric to get started before you start. But you can also use the same fabric as an ender. And basically what that means is I don't feel like cutting this and then having to use a leader again and wasting a bit of thread. So I'm just going to sew onto this scrap of fabric. And I usually do it onto an angle. You want to make sure it's long enough that you'll be able to cut this one off the back, but not so long that you're wasting a lot of thread. I'm just going to do that. Grab my scissors, cut that off. Now I'll be ready to come back and sew these sets together. But first, let me show you how I'm going to cut them apart. There's obviously 2 ways. The most obvious and one that everyone can do is just to use scissors and come in here and cut the thread in between each of these sets of blocks. But if you're doing a lot of quilting, and especially if you're doing smaller quilt blocks, that can become a bit time consuming. So I'm going to show you how this works. So this cute little bumblebee is a Busy Bee thread cutter from Lori Holt of Bee in My Bonnet. She's got lots of bee themed things. And it basically has this little opening and there's a little razor blade in there. Some people position it different ways. I just like to do it this way. So what this does is you just take your long string of fabrics, right, of your squares that you've sewn together, and then you want to make sure you have enough thread in the middle that you can just put it in here and it just hits that razor blade and it cuts apart. So it is a bit quicker and easier. Some people put it on the side of their sewing machine. I don't know, this is just what felt good to me. So if you've never tried one of these, you might like it. And there's lots of different versions of this. Some of them will stand up on the table and you'll just kind of push down to cut. This one has adhesive on the back so it can just stick right to your sewing machine. You'll never have to look for it when you need it. Now we're going to head to the ironing board and talk about pressing these seams. So when you are sewing blocks together, these are just a lot of 5-inch squares, you want to be careful about how your seams are so that they're not super bulky in one area and not in another. So let me show you behind the scenes. Now you'll notice that on the blue blocks, the seams are going this way, and on the green, they're going this way, and that is very, very intentional. That is so that when you sew them together, you have what is called a nested seam, where the 2 layers of fabric are going one way on one side and the other way on the other side, thereby spreading that bulk. If all 4 were going on the same side, you'd have a lot of bulk on one side and barely any on this side. This way, each side has basically 4 pieces or 4 layers of fabric. So to do that, with this quilt pattern, it's pretty easy because we have the one print that's going to be every other block, and then in every other row, there's going to be a solid color, either green or blue. So when you are pressing, you always want to press your seams so that they go over the solid color. That way, they will always be in the opposite direction, and when you sew your rows together, you'll have beautifully nested seams. To do that really efficiently, you want to have whichever color you want to fold over. So the green, so that this is pressed towards the green, you want to put on top. Now we're going to set the seam, which means to iron over that before we ever fold it. I use my quilter's clapper. That will take some of the moisture and heat out of that fabric and make it nice and flat. Now you can see the difference because at first this seems like a silly step, but you can see this one the seam hasn't been set, and you can see a little bit of wobble in that fabric, and you can see those stitches are wobbling a little bit. You can see how that is from the edge. Once you've set that seam, everything is nice and flat, and even from the side, nice and flat. See that difference? So it's a simple step, but it makes a big difference, especially in quilting. So once you set that seam, I'm just going to push this forward, just kind of finger press that again, hit it with my clapper one more time, and we have a beautifully pressed seam. Now I'm going to set and press the rest of these. So there I've been doing one at a time. If you want to do more than one at a time, you can, and I often do. Then I just set them up like this. I'll put the seams so they're next to each other, and then I can do 2 at a time. I always do the right one first because I'm right-handed, and then as I'm pressing this left one, I can be using the clapper on the right one. But when you're doing flipping, you really want to just do 1 at a time. But setting the seams, you can be more efficient if you set more than 1 seam at a time. Now that we're back to the sewing machine, this ender fabric magically became a leader fabric. So we're going to leave that on there. We're going to put these print to solid, and we're going to be sewing 2 pairs together to start building this green row. Now I'm just going to use scissors to clip that back one off and clip that scrap fabric off. And because this row is going to end with a green, I'm just going to press this after I sew another one on. It will be far enough away. And so I'm going to add that final green piece that will be for the row. Use that ender again. This is still stuck a little bit under the foot, so I'm just going to lift the foot so I can just pivot it, cut that off. Apparently I really don't like starting and ending threads, and I like to be as efficient as possible when I do that. Okay, so now I'm going to add this one too. So I'm going to be setting and pressing about 4 or 5 seams at the same time. Just keeps me from bouncing back and forth quite as often between the machine and the ironing board. When we just did the pairs, I set and pressed all of these seams individually. But now I have put the whole row together, and you can see it has a nicely pressed seam there and there. But all the rest in between need to be done. And you can tell from the back whether they have been pressed or not. So I'm just going to start and then set and flip things as I go. What is really, really important for you to know and understand is this. Let's look at the legal warning here. And this may be an unpopular opinion among many people because I definitely see this heatedly debated on social media. But here's the legality of it. And I'm not a lawyer, but I have licensed my art for over 21 years, so I do understand copyrights and how this works. Always defer to the selvage. Don't believe what a girl on Facebook tells you and says, no, it's fine if you're selling less than 50 or however many, you can totally sell it. No, you cannot. This says, sold for non-commercial, home use only. That means if I make these, I cannot sell them. No money can be exchanged. I can show you how to make them. I can give this to my nephew, my great nephew, as a gift, but I cannot make these, sell these on Etsy, sell these at craft fairs, etc., etc. Now, does that mean people don't do it? Does that mean a lot of them don't get caught? But if they get caught, I can guarantee you that Paw Patrol Company has a lot more money for lawyers than you do. So it's bad karma, and it is just too much of a risk, in my opinion, to take. So I wanted to make sure that was super, super clear, since this is one of the few times that I am going to be using licensed fabric that is not my own fabric. So now that we have all of the strips sewn together, and we have the seams going in the opposite direction, always going towards the solid color and not the print, it is time to clip and sew the rows together. Now, the reason this is important that these go in the opposite direction is, as I said before, so that we have nested seams. And that means that when we put the two fabrics together, right sides together, and we line up the seam lines like that, and clip them, we have half the seams going this way and half the seams going this way. That reduces bulk. The other way you could do it would be to iron all of your seams open like that, but to me that takes a little bit more time, and this is just an easier way, and you're going to end up with the same amount of fabric on each side regardless of which way you prefer to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this one over, make sure it is flat, and make sure the seams are sitting in the direction they're supposed to be going, and then we're going to put this row on top. And then I just do a preliminary lining up in the very beginning. This is what I am most concerned about, is where these seams are. So you want this seam line to match with this one like that. And so you're going to be looking at that at every seam. You also want to make sure it's going straight and that this end is done correctly. Now there are three main ways to clip this together, pin this together before you take it to the sewing machine and sew it. Regular straight pins, fabric clips, or this is called a magic pin. You can see it's actually two pins at once, and it is slightly bent. And this is designed specifically for nested seams and quilting. This is going to give you your most accurate hold. It's going to hold these things really, really well, and it's going to keep everything from shifting better than a single pin or a clip. I use these when I need things to be super, super precise. So what you do is you just take it and you put one pin on each side of that seam line. You press it in, and then you pull it back out. So it works like that. A pin I usually do at a little bit of an angle, and I angle it towards the direction my needle is going to come. So I start this way, and I put it up. And that is because as you sew, you're going to be able to get closer to where that pin is before having to take it out. If you go straight, you can't get quite as close with your needle. Now the clips, this is the fastest way, and honestly the way I do it a lot. It might slip a little bit. It doesn't hold it quite as tightly as a pin does. But what I do with the clips is I just put it right on that seam. So pluses and minuses to each. For a project like this that is for a young child that I'm just trying to get done really quickly, I'm probably going to defer to fabric clips. But I wanted to show you these three different options and how they work. So we'll just leave those in for now. Now, another thing that I do that's a little bit different than some people is I also put a clip or a pin up here and over. So we're going to be sewing here with a 1/4 inch seam. But I like to do that just to keep this from slipping sideways or shifting a little bit when I've moved it. And I do this at both ends. So I'm just going to go along and I'm going to make sure these seams are matched. And I'm just going to use clips for the rest. Also making sure that my seams are going in the opposite directions. If somehow you ironed one the wrong way, you can just take it back to the iron, flatten it back out and fix it, because you just really want to make sure that these are nested so it doesn't create a weird bump in your quilt. And now we're at the other end. And so I'm going to clip here or pin. That'll actually keep it from moving even more than the clip. And now we're ready to take it to the sewing machine and sew with a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. Then we'll come back and we'll press that. We'll set the seam and press it just like we did with these individual squares. It will just be a really long row. Now I'm sewing this strip together with a 1/4 inch seam just like I did each of the blocks. You want to stop your sewing machine before taking any clips or pins off. If you try and do it while sewing, you are most likely going to do a little bit of a jiggle and not have as straight of a line, especially when you are newer. Now, when you have the fabric that is going like this, you want to make sure your foot doesn't push it and make it twisted. So what I do is I take the tip of my scissors and I hold that down until it gets under the foot, keeps my finger away from the needle, and it just makes sure everything is going to stay straight and lined up. Now, when we get to this nested seam, the thing you need to pay attention to is the top one is down, so super easy, don't have to do anything. But you need to make sure that the one underneath is staying in the direction it's supposed to. Sometimes this little bump on where your machine meets the needle plate will cause it to flip. And if you keep your finger here, you can usually feel that that has happened. So then you just pause, stick your finger or your scissors under there and make sure that is flat before you go over that seam. And if you are newer to quilting, here's a couple other little tips to get that 1/4 inch seam to stay consistent. First, I recommend getting a 1/4 inch foot for your sewing machine. You're just gonna look and see what kind of foot your brand makes. It is very dependent on your brand of sewing machine. So this is a 1/4 inch foot, so that needle is a 1/4 inch from the edge. So I just need to keep the fabric lined up with the edge of the foot. You can also use your needle plate. So this line here is the 1/4 inch mark. So I can be making sure my fabric is going there, and along the foot. You can also use a seam guide that will stick magnetically to your needle plate and give you an even better visual. Or you can grab some washi tape or painter's tape and tape further along to give yourself a good guide. So now these two are ready. I'm just going to take them to the ironing board, set this very long seam, press it open, and repeat the process until all of the rows are together and the quilt topper is done. And this is my favorite type of gift: a book, instill the love of reading into a child, and then also a quilt that will wrap them up in my love, even though this little cutie lives on the opposite side of the country. So let me know in the comments if you're going to give it a try, who you might be giving this book and a quilt to, or just a quilt. You don't have to include the book. If you're new here, my name is Tara Reed. I'm an artist and a fabric designer with Riley Blake Designs, and I love to teach easy sewing projects, quilting, sewing, sew and sell, and more. So be sure to subscribe to my channel for lots of fun projects and tutorials. Hit that bell so that YouTube lets you know when I post something new. Leave a comment, leave me a thumbs up. Love to hear what you think. And also, if you have any suggestions of things that you'd love to see me do in the future, leave that in the comments as well. Have a fantastic day. Happy sewing or happy quilting.